I thought you were better than this.
But the entanglement.
The response has been, just try something new.
And I also know that I don't want to be anybody who watches the game, the side part under.
I've had people tell me that it's not a natural hair journey because I have color in my hair. We need to continue to say her name.
Usually we talk about 3 topics, but I just want to briefly, because I know there's more important things going on, talk about Jada and Will. You haven't said your opinion. People have been in my comments like, what do y'all think? You cannot skip over this issue. So quickly, let's get to it and then move on to the 3 topics. What do you think?
I'm a little disappointed with you, okay? I thought you were better than this. Will and Jada have been married for 22 years. For folks who haven't even gotten past 6 months in a relationship to be commenting on grown folks' business and consenting adults, for people who have figured out a way to make things work, I'm going to need for people to take the energy that they have for these consenting grown-ass adults and utilize that for your own personal relationships. Why do you care?
And I try to take the high road, Erica, and I know I ain't married, so I have no idea. But the entanglement word, it really was just like, what is happening? What is happening? But I know, listen, I'm not even gonna give you an opposing view right now because I know it's good for people to stay out of grown folks' business. I mean, maybe they shouldn't have addressed it. I don't know. I don't know. Now, I might be confused or maybe I'm not understanding, but I think I saw the leader of Goya go to the White House and say how much he supports Trump. And I thought maybe I was losing my mind.
We're all truly blessed at the same time to have a leader like President Trump.
But then, not only that, we see a double down from Ivanka Trump this week saying, go buy your Goya, and then writing the caption in Spanish again underneath that photo. So what do you make of what's going on here? Because I'm a little bit lost.
I think anyone in the administration, whether it's based on nepotism of some ambiguous position that Ivanka Trump finds herself in or not, is bound by a certain code of ethics. And a part of that is you cannot endorse private companies.
Quick defense, not of anything that's going on, but like, we don't want, I don't know, a lot of people told me that they use Goya. Do we want that whole brand to go under because of who they support? Now, we know all the reasons why they shouldn't support, right?
But I mean, there's so many things that are wrong with this situation. I mean, we really are trying to apply logic to something completely illogical. I mean, this is the daughter of a president. We didn't see Sasha and Malia going in trying to run anything, not even Teen Vogue. So it's like, what? I don't understand how she fits into the mix here. It's like you already have somebody who's completely unqualified, and then you have their unqualified daughter underneath them.
Well, she ran a clothing brand. So you can run the United States.
Of the House of Couture, okay? Not in the actual president of the United States, like working for the president. An interesting turn of events too, because it's not that it's new, but because of this whole Goya photo controversy, her initiative of try something new has come back out. I know you've heard of this.
Yeah.
Try something new. So basically, there are tens of millions of Americans who are unemployed right now. And the response has been, just try something new. And it's like, okay, Vonk, let's talk about what it really takes when you're unemployed, because I've definitely been in that position. And for almost a year, I tried to try something new. And it's very difficult to just try something new when your skill set dictates that you're supposed to be doing one thing, and now you're back in line in basically a herd cattle call in order to compete with people who have been in certain industries for far longer than you have been.
I know when quarantine first started, I was like, listen, guys, everybody should get creative and get out there and start, getting their creative juices flowing. And then I realized that that's a really insensitive comment, because for some people, they don't have the luxury to just be creative right now, right? They don't have a paycheck. They have a lot of other things they need to worry about outside of how can I flex my creative juices. Telling people to try something new, like it's throwing pasta at a wall, is not really realistic. But something that I did see, and I want to just give praise where praise is due, is that Google is starting this entire new initiative where they're allowing people to get trained for 6 months in several areas of their company, and they're counting it as a college degree. And they're also providing grants for that training. So not only are you able to apply for free training that they count as a degree if you don't have your college degree, they're offering you jobs that are starting at about $93,000 a year for people out of work right now, to train them in these skills like IT and technical engineering at Google, and you will be placed at their company if you receive one of these grants. And I think when places like Google are stepping up to the plate, and then people who are in leadership positions are telling you throw pasta at the wall, then you have my biggest issue, where I would prefer to see some money behind some programs like Google's putting in place to help people try something new realistically and also pay for their families to live.
So you asked me something, and I thought this was so interesting about natural hair. Like, what constitutes natural hair?
Right, because a lot of times I feel like I'm a little bit left out because how often I blow dry my hair. But in my mind, it's a personal choice. Not like that I don't love my hair if it were to ever get curly again, which it absolutely does not based on how much I've straightened it. But I do other natural styles, I guess you could consider, like this, or like when I have my full head braided. But break it down, because sometimes there's like a beef over this.
Okay, first of all, I am not going to sit here and pretend like I am the expert of natural hair, okay? I have been, trust me, it has been such a journey for more than the reasons of just hair growing out of my head, okay? I just say, in my experience, in my opinion, natural hair is any hair that grows out of your head. To me, that's my definition of natural hair. Now, I did the big chop 4 years ago. It's been quite the journey. And I've had people tell me that it's not a natural hair journey because I have color in my hair. So there's so many like criterias of what dictates natural hair. But for me, I feel like it's the hair that grows out of your head.
I feel like specifically for like, and I'll say Black women, because I think that we have this experimental thing where we just aren't afraid to be bold, from what I've been seeing out there and all the different styles. I mean, even going from in the celebrity culture, what they used to do with their hair, to now wigs looking like people's hair. You know, it's insane. It's insane how beautiful some of these wigs look. Now, I don't know, I've never seen them in person, but on TV, they look beautiful. Even like one of my friends braided the motorsport Nicki Minaj long braids that she had in that music video, which were literally down to the floor, and it was a wig. And back, you never would think that a woman could have wig braids. But I also know that people like Cardi B who do that, her hair is like almost down to her butt because of how much she protects it from heat and all this damage that we would put on it.
There's a certain degree of functionality, even when we're talking about hairstyles as an actual style. Like, there's a reason why Black women started to straighten their hair. There's a reason why, you know, wigs and weaves have become incredibly popular. It's a functional reason sometimes. Other times it's just for the style, and it's like, I want to do what I want to do and represent myself the way that I want to do that. I am all here for all the styles. I am here for bald. I am here for whatever form of self-expression you choose to have, because I think it's about, you know, having some ownership over your person. It's having ownership over your image. For me, my journey was less about what other people thought, because at that point I had given up caring about what other people thought. It was about the fact that I was attached to something in a very unhealthy way. And I needed to get right with myself and take that journey with myself of vulnerability and self-expression and exploration with my hair in order to feel like I can be the most me I could possibly be.
For me, it's always been ownership. So like, I'm the person that really has walked into the office with like braids coming to the front, or like, you know, like really just trying stuff, because I usually grow this amazing friendship with the stylist that I have in every city that I've lived in. And it gets to the point, like right now with this pony, she was like, let's just try something new. And I also know that I don't want to be, anybody who watches the game, the side part under. Now, if you watch the game, the side part under is the generic cliche. You always part your hair right here. You tuck it behind the ear. That's the under. Like, I need some kind of, that's ownership over my image to show that I am just a lot of things, right? And I think on TV, we don't see that a lot. And so sometimes it's my responsibility to be more of myself specifically on TV. When I see people like Melissa Harris Perry, who I worked for, or Joy Reid, who's on MSNBC doing all the hairstyles, you know, this has to be normal because that's what we see all the time. So Erica, it's been 5 years this week since Sandra Bland died. And we know in that situation, she had specific camera footage, dash cam footage that was shocking to the entire world. And still nothing was done. So at the same time, that piggybacks on the fact that none of Breonna Taylor's murderers, which we both described them as, have been arrested. There was no video in that case, but everyone says what that case not as jarring as George Floyd is because we had video. But does video really matter if we have no convictions on all of the above yet?
The truth of the matter is video didn't matter until George Floyd. Video started to matter with Ahmaud Arbery. We're talking about tragic murders that occurred mere months ago. And that's when video footage, all of a sudden, people started to believe their eyes. I mean, the crazy thing about Sandra Bland is of all of these melanated Black voices that are being amplified, Sandra was an OG. She's been saying everything that everyone's now talking about with Black Lives Matter and the significance of Black women. This was her whole thing. She was very, very strong in her stances, and she would have been one of the very first people or very first voices to be amplified. And the idea that we're talking about her 5 years after her death and there's been no justice for her, I mean, it's heart-wrenching.
And if you talk about one of the voices that should be amplified, Breonna Taylor was actually essential. She was actually an EMT, actually an essential human being that the white police officers that killed her disregarded. And that's what we're saying. Like, this is somebody who literally was saving lives for a living, working with people that was saving lives for a living. And I always want to tell their stories, but it's terrible that we're telling their stories in a past tense. These are people that were contributing, upstanding citizens contributing to the world. I want to read a quote from the Los Angeles Times. Breonna Taylor's mom, Tamika Palmer, she said, quote, "I have Black daughters, and sometimes I think that we don't think that it can happen to them because so many times they're swept under the rug." She's a regular mom who has a Black daughter in the same way that your mom and my mom have a Black daughter, and we see this happen on the news. But hitting home is not that far away, which is why we have to continue speaking up, continue saying something, because nothing has been done. And I know we continuously talk about Breonna Taylor, we continuously talk about Sandra Bland, and even in that time, there's been so many more people that we still need to bring up. But if we don't see justice in these high-profile cases, again, the message that Black women are irrelevant in society is very loud.
One thing that people have really been asking about are calls to action. So on Monday, it was the 4-month mark since Breonna Taylor's assassination, and change.org has sent out a lot of information. But one thing, simple thing that people can do is go to callforbreonna.com. They're going to ask you to put your number in, and then you are going to be directed to multiple Kentucky lawmakers. All you have to do is say, "I want justice for Breonna. Arrest the cops that murdered Breonna Taylor." That's all you have to do. It'll take less than 60 seconds, and that's a really great way for a call to action. But another thing is, these names are fading fast from social media. we need to continue to say her name. Hashtag Breonna Taylor, hashtag Sandra Bland, hashtag justice for Breonna and Sandra.